Well, I've made it to the Mitsui Seiki booth, guys, and I got this famous face. You know him, Tyler. Everyone knows you at this point, don't they?
Yeah, hopefully by now. You've been doing this long enough, right?
Absolutely, and as much as you guys enjoy Tyler and I, this is about the machine. This is about technology. This is about precision. This is about innovation. Did you know 600 years? 600 years might not make sense to you yet, but Tyler's going to explain all of this and why this Mitsui Seiki machine might be the machine of your now and not just the future. Tyler, 600 years, what does that mean?
Yeah,
you know I'm just spitballing here.
So if you're at IMTS or, if you get some time even to research us, there's a lot of really good history on the logo for Mitsui Seiki, and it really has a really true great meaning. The company's been around for a very long time. We got our start really, it was a progression into machine tools, but it all started at the need and demand for precision measuring equipment. So back in the 1920s, that's where we got our start, and then very quickly gravitated into the early 30s to precision machining centers. So we built one of Japan's very first ultra precision jig bore machine, which is a little nickname, a mother machine. So mother machine is able to make babies, right? A machine tool accurate enough to make other machining centers. So that really does a good segue into why we're standing here in front of the Vertex machine.
Yeah, and we bring this up, Tyler and I, because Mitsui Seiki is very accurate machine, and they have a group of people who love their machines, but this is the opportunity to show the world what Mitsui Seiki is doing, and I'm happy to be speaking with Tyler today, and we're going to show you firsthand what this machine looks like, invite you inside of the machine itself. So Tyler, let's just go over a couple of the overview of what this machine is capable of doing and producing for folks out there before they get to see it firsthand.
Yeah, so many may not be familiar with who Mitsui Seiki is, but really our specialty is critical rotating engine components for aircraft engines. So in order to make those type of parts, you need to be able to hold and achieve very tight tolerances. The run times on a lot of those components are over 60 hours sometimes. So to be able to run a machine unmanned and make that critical of a component without scrapping that very expensive part, you need a machine tool to this caliber. And I think the industry has really grown into every machine shop has a 5-axis machining center right now. And I like the analogy of crawl, walk, run. And why you would want to look at a Mitsui Seiki Vertex machining center of 5-axis is really you need that ultra accuracy. Maybe your parts don't, but you're trying to run unmanned for a long period of time, and you need a machining center that's capable of doing that.
Let's go ahead and invite the audience inside, take
please.
a look at the machine. But while they're doing that and looking inside, Tyler, and I know you want to go over some of the details of the machine itself, but you know how frustrating it is to have to take a part out of a machine and then either fix it after measurement or secondary, third operations, extra polishing, deburring, all of that stuff. We just don't have the manpower anymore, right?
No.
And that's where Mitsui Seiki comes into play. It's those done and ones, those one and dones. I mean, that's what we want, is to take a raw material, machine it, and then put it into a box when and where we can.
Exactly. No, we get tired saying it, right? But there's fewer and fewer people. At some point, you would think we'd have a flood of people because
we're trying,
it's a great
man.
industry,
We're darn sure
right?
trying.
Oh man, yep. But really, that's what it all is about. It's the big picture thinking, right? Is the fewer operator and interventions you have, fewer scrap, all of that, that means better profit. So yes, we didn't build our name and reputation off being the cheapest machine tool on the market. We built it on being one of the best, most accurate, most reliable machining centers. So it's running, you're making good parts that first time off, and that's creating you profits.
Absolutely right. So we got a camera inside of here for you. Let's look inside the machine and let's drop some of these incredible specs that I know Mitsui Seiki is known for.
Yep, so we talk about accuracy. What does that actually mean? So if you could peel back the sheet metal on the machining center, you could see it's actually a box type construction. So where the top saddle, where the spindle rides on, that's got full support through full stroke. So you're not going to get any droop or anything like that, again, for longer cycle times or even short runs too, but it's going to be able to maintain that accuracy with the XYZ movements. Now down to the trunnion, again, cradles supported on both sides, very heavy duty cast iron casting. The casting is all made of meionite cast iron, hand scraped. We even can achieve a jig bore scrape on a lot of our machining centers. And what does a jig bore scrape mean? That's 25 points of contact in 1 inch. It takes a very high level skilled craftsman to be able to do that, and do that on a machining center. Not only a jig bore or jig grinder, but we apply that to our machining centers. We build one of the most accurate trunnions in the world. Most 5-axis machines, questions when you're starting to investigate a new machining center, especially a 5-axis, is to ask what kind of repeatability and what kind of positioning accuracy you're able to achieve in that trunnion. So machining centers have anywhere from 20 to 30 arc seconds for positioning and repeatability, down to our level where we're able to achieve some of our machining centers at half arc second tilt and rotary.
Ooh.
So what does that mean? Well, Tony, you know, the further away you get from your center of rotation, any kind of inaccuracy that you have there, the more errors are introduced. What does that mean to a customer? Well, you need more work offsets in order to maybe shift parts into geometry. With a Mitsui Seiki, you don't need to monkey around with that. It's, you program a part and you tell it to position there, it's going to go there within tenths, most often sub-micron repeatability on that. So
you are not monkeying around here. That is for darn sure. I want to speak really quick. I've seen so many videos about 5-axis technology where they measure the precision, but right next to the workpiece. I mean, right next to the work holding that's holding the workpiece, right on the table, right? It's pretty easy to get that accuracy when you're on the table. It is what happens when you put a part on there or an extension of a work holding and you get further away from that table. And that's where you guys come into play. Because as I'm 5, 10, 15 inches away from my part, from my center of gravity, as I might say, that center area, I am now not quite as accurate in a lot of areas as I will be on a Mitsui Seiki.
Yep, well, even if you notice, we custom build our own saddles. You'll notice if you really take a good look at it, the center of rotation line, we actually dip down our saddle below that. So by the time you put work holding on it, a part, you're going to be closer to that center of rotation for those ultra precision parts. But again, with accuracies in our trunnion, if you do have a larger component with those minimal errors, you're going to be able to achieve those accuracies. So yes.
All right, Tyler, I want to talk about something that's sometimes the unsung hero as we continue to grow into automation. And you can tell from the camera work my guy is doing right now how big this automation cell is. But I do not want to forget about that tool changer I'm seeing in there right now, because if I'm running automation and a pallet change system, as we all know at this point, can be high mix and low volume, which means I can have a different job on every single pallet. But if I don't have enough tools to cut all those different jobs, then I'm wasting my time anyway.
Exactly. Yeah,
so let's talk a little bit about the importance of automation, what it can bring to the table, and the tool change system and what it offers to support that.
And I'll even back up, really, the automation system we chose, it really derived from a great partner with Trinity Robotics. They've been around for over 10 years. They do a great job at this. But why we wanted to partner with them is, you mentioned we have all these legacy customers around the world that have Vertex machines. And they maybe started with a standalone machine. Well, as they grow, we wanted to be able to field retrofit a system on here. And by doing that, introducing more pallets, the machining center, it's very costly, expensive, and sometimes takes the machine down for a long time to be able to retrofit more tools on. So we figured, why don't you guys come up with a concept that we could maybe bolt on a pallet system with not only pallets, but then tools too. So we've introduced 12 pallets, and with that, this machining center specifically has 40 tools, but now with adding the pallet system, we've also added in 80 additional tools. So a total of 12 pallets, 120 tools. So very important for us to make sure that those machines in the field are taken care of and still running, because they're designed to last a very, very long time.
Yeah, very well said, Tyler. Is there anything I haven't asked you today that you'd like to convey to the audience? We've nailed precision. We've nailed reliability. We've nailed the foundation of the company. I'm all about that base as well, just like the song say, and the base that you have here. We've talked automation. Is there anything we didn't convey that you'd like to close this conversation out with today?
I think the most important thing I'm trying to say is, I know machining centers are expensive, but I really want people to take time to step back and think of the big picture. How much time is spent by not only production managers, programmers, machinists themselves on selecting a piece of equipment, but really think of the big picture of, if you buy it, maybe spend a little bit more up front. That's going to make you a lot more in the long run, big picture. So something to keep in mind, and really, try to think smarter, not necessarily in the short term to make a quick buck or save a couple bucks, but maybe to make some more money. You buy a machining center, you invest in a Mitsui Seiki, it sometimes opens doors for parts that you maybe couldn't make before. And again, a chance to maybe be more profitable.
Yeah, Tyler, if it's okay with you, I'd like to expand on that as we close this out, because that is so freaking important, my friend. We are not thinking about today, tomorrow, a year from now. We're thinking about our kids and our grandkids. Tyler said it best, bringing in parts we couldn't machine before, making sure we're taken care of. It is price per part. not price up front, how much labor is missing right now. These are all the components of why investing in machines like this will change the dynamic of your machine shop. And that's why we do this, right?
Yeah, correct. You know, and I'll
We're going to
steal
play
it.
off each other
Yeah,
for a
right.
while,
We
right?
could talk about this all day, but Tony, I'll just say, you know, what does a machining center cost you, right? Think of it that way maybe, right? With downtime, unplanned downtime, maybe scrap parts, and what that does to your shop, right? As a big, almost an ecosystem, if you will, right? So that's it. That's all I really got.
The ecosystem we got
Yep.
here on camera as
Thanks,
well.
Tony.
I appreciate you,
brother.
Tyler.
Yep.
Thank you all for watching. I
Thank
hope
you.
this has been beneficial. Mitsui Seiki is that name that maybe you've heard of, maybe you haven't, but it's something you need to do more research on because there's something here for you that just might change your machine shop.